So Denver Jones is 12 points away from getting 1,000, so we'll see maybe tomorrow night if he gets that. We made progress over the weekend, or Thursday, Friday, in New York, and played against two really, really good teams and two really good coaches that run fairly complicated offensive systems, which sort of allows you to game plan a little bit for them because if you don't, from a standpoint of just tactically, you can really put yourself in a bad spot. And I thought our kids, I thought our kids grew defensively with an understanding. We played hard, and then offensively, when we ran our stuff either through the break or sets, we were scored a really high efficiency rate. We were passing the ball well. We shot it pretty well. Second half against St. Bonaventure, we didn't shoot it that well. When we sort of get in between and don't run the break or really don't run an offense, our efficiency isn't as good, and that would stand to reason. So get our guys to try to get a greater understanding of that. Alabama A&M obviously plays in a league in the SWAC with some real competitive teams, and just look no further than I believe it was yesterday when Jackson State picked, the lower half of that league, went to Missouri and beat them. And last year, this team, this Alabama A&M team, was with, I think they lost 6 at Vandy. So they're capable, they're deep, they're well coached, we obviously haven't been home very often. We've played 4 games, only one have been at home. So we look forward to trying to play well at home and try to make for a happier Thanksgiving.
Bruce, you've been talking about Aiden and Trey needing to improve on the defensive end. Did you see them kind of these first 2 weeks take those steps forward, and kind of what do you want to continue to see them kind of grow on in that area?
Well, I mean, everybody watches film, and so what coaches are going to do is they're going to what big can we attack? For example, if Janai stays behind the post all the time, they're going to throw the ball in there and they're going to attack him. If he mixes up front of the post and mixes up his coverages, it's not as easy to game plan for. Same thing with all of our guards. I think Aiden showed a quickness defensively that was encouraging to me, in the sense that he was able to kind of get through actions, whether it be our ball screen coverages or different pin downs. He was able to be slippery off the ball, which put him in position, to cover. Trey can also. Trey would get through things a little bit more physically. So the combination of both are important. It's an area that we made the most. I think obviously made the most progress in from the second half of the Baylor game.
Bruce, obviously the assist rate for you guys really high here in the early portion of the season. I know you thought this offense was going to be better, but did you have an indication in the offseason that you guys were going to be this good sharing the ball? Because it's not just been point guards so far.
Yeah, I thought that we have put in an offense that I haven't run historically, more of a 5-out spread. We're always 4 and 5, but it's just a lot of people run it, and we go against it all the time, and it's something that they run in the NBA. And I thought with both Janai and Dylan at the top of the floor making plays, we'd spread out a little bit, and it's fit in nicely with our base offense. We do shoot it pretty well, and so as a result, I think we're able to sort of make plays and get guys shots off of offensive execution. So the passing has been good. What we need to continue to improve on, based on this rule change, is guys just driving downhill, making one-on-one plays. And again, for the life of me, why they make a rule change in October and put it in, 6 months before you're done recruiting. It's just mind-boggling to me.
appreciation. Road games 3 out of the first 4. How valuable is that from a team building perspective when your hotel can travel? Do you think that's helpful in getting guys ready for a season and bringing guys closer together?
Well, I'm like grateful to Auburn for, allowing us to play the kind of schedule that we play. How many teams in the country have played full games and 3 have been away from home? So look, going to New York is special. It's a special place for basketball. And certainly playing, we practiced at the Brooklyn Nets practice facility on Wednesday. We played where the Brooklyn Nets played. We were in the New York Liberty's locker room. I mean, it was upscale for our guys, right? And our guys took advantage of it by bringing home a championship. I think that's the 3rd MTE championship we won since 2020, when we won out there in the Legends Classic, and I know we won in Cancun last year and then this year. So we've won 3 in-season championships, which is part of what we try to do, part of making history. The fact that we've been on national television 3 out of our first 4 games is significant at this time of the year. I think people are. I mean, there's a lot going on right now. A lot of with the college and the NFL and football, and a lot going on. I think people are still excited about the start of college basketball season. It's new, it's fresh, and so to schedule in such a way where I can get Auburn on national TV 3 out of the first 4 games. Again, what do we got to do to stay relevant? What are we going to do to try to maintain a level of top 25 program awareness type things? You got to schedule these games.
Talk about the defensive improvements, just for the whole team's perspective. I think your opponent shot like 4 of 53 on threes. I think that's not sustainable, obviously. But what did you think, kind of as a team, was better defensively compared to the first 2 games?
Well, I think that sometimes you get good matchups. Sometimes, I know it sounds. You guys have been doing this long enough to really understand that. I don't think the casual fan understands that. Matchups matter, and there are certain systems that our system matches up with better. And so part of our success defensively was both Notre Dame and St. Bonaventure run a very similar offensive system that we know how to guard. And that some of our fundamental defensive principles match up with well. So it's a combination of the guys executing it and a combination of just a good system fit.
You mentioned it Friday night, Dylan's changed his free throw stroke and went off, hadn't missed very much this season. Just can you talk a little bit about the process that
Sure.
he put into that?
That's a great question. Just and I definitely don't want to jinx him or or whatever. But let's talk about Dylan Carwell going for 6 for 6 from the foul line. What does that take? Historically, nobody's worked harder on their free throw stroke or been in the gym more or shot more than Dylan. So he's always shot more. But what he's been willing to do, I think, as much as anything this time, is he's tried everything. And so without a lot of success, practice makes permanent, it doesn't make perfect. And so in practicing it and missing a lot, doing different things, he developed some really bad habits, and mentally, he wasn't seeing it go in. Long story short, he just shortened his stroke. He just simply tightened it up a little bit, and a lot. And there's less room for failure. And so, very, very, very pleased with his work ethic. Very pleased with his mental preparation. And there were some different shooting coaches and people that have different things out there, and we went through that process of looking at some different adjustments that could be made, and he's made a nice adjustment. I think it's got ability to last.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned the opening that you felt like you made progress in Brooklyn. What are some of the things that you have made progress on, and what's one or two things that you really want to continue to work on?
I think valuing possessions. I think the physicality of our play. Notre Dame, we're more physical, especially in the first half, which was disappointing. So passing, we've got to continue to be more physical. Rebounding the ball, finishing plays, just valuing possession by finishing plays. Like we'll play really good defense and then give them an offensive rebound. We'll play really good defense and block a shot and they'll get the 50-50 ball. Ending possessions. And then on the offensive end, just valuing possessions. Continuing to attack in numbers and play aggressively with freedom. And I know, a lot of times, the announcers, they'll do some preparation, but they basically the preparation is what they've heard or seen, or so on and so forth. One of the things that got commented a lot this past weekend was our depth. You heard it over and over and over again, and I've said from the very beginning, when we go to the bench, we don't drop off, and that could either be a good thing or a bad thing, because maybe our starting five aren't good enough to match up with other starting fives, because when we go to the bench, we don't drop off. I think the other thing that, and it's not about getting credit for this, but I'm sick and tired of hearing about the fact that guy's only got 7 guys. He's got 6 guys sitting on his bench that are on scholarship that aren't playing. And so you have to develop your bench. You don't think there aren't certain guys out there that maybe you'd rather play 30 instead of 22 or 23, but you got a good player behind him, and so as to develop your bench and develop your depth and be able to withstand injury or foul trouble. So I'm not a big fan of we play 10 and they only play 7. I see a bunch of guys down that aren't playing, So to that effect, when we play Alabama A&M, they're going to play 12 to 15 guys double-digit minutes. We're playing 10 with Lior being ready to go at 11. So Otis, who was here under Coach Flo for a little bit, they had a really good year last year. Finished 10-8 in their league. Like I said, had some good wins. But they're third in the country in scoring off the bench. They got 44 points, coming off the bench. They do a great job rebounding the basketball. So one of our weaknesses is keeping people off the boards. That's one of their strengths. And the other thing, they do a pretty good job of getting to the foul line. So defending without fouling. I thought we did a really good job. I thought the 2 games that we had in New York were the best officiated games that we've had. And part of it was they managed, to have the free throw situation be where, there was some stuff they let go, but it wasn't a free throw contest.
Coach, this is the 10-year anniversary of the Kick 6. I'm just curious if you remember where you were when that happened and just what you remember from that game.
Absolutely. I was in Knoxville. We were downtown, and I was with my whole family having dinner. And we were having dinner at a restaurant that also had some televisions. And so we were actually locked in the whole second half, watched it, and just couldn't believe what an unbelievably entertaining game, that the swings that were taking place. And then just remember looking at that last play and going, holy, he's going to go all the way, And, I had no connection, to Auburn at that time. And so, but being from Tennessee, Alabama was always a pretty big rival, so I probably was rooting for Auburn. And little did I know that 4 months later, I'd be coaching here.
All right, 3 more questions for Nathan. I'm sorry.
First, just your signing class. Talk a little bit about Tahad and Jakai and guys you've been. You guys have been recruiting and been around for a long time.
Yeah, I'm going to give Ira Bowman tremendous credit, tremendous shout out to Ira Bowman. his value to us as an assistant coach. He is his greatest qualities. He's one of the best people you'd ever want to know. Was a pro, was an Ivy League Player of the Year, worked in the NBA office. I mean, checking a bunch of boxes. And he's a brilliant workout guy. Like Ira's a coach, he's a teacher. He's about player development. And if you ask a lot of our former NBA guys that I've coached that have gotten the NBA, they'll tell you Ira was their workout guru. And now the recruiting thing. Both Tahad and Jakai had some Northeast roots. Jakai's mom and I both kind of spent a lot of time in Boston and kind of grew up there a little bit, so that was kind of fun to go back. Gave her a little bit of comfort, felt like she knew me without knowing me. And Tahad, I was known Tahad as Travis, Tahad's dad, for a long, long time. And what it is both those, it's about trust. It's about trust. One of the things that we do as far as our culture is concerned is in recruiting especially, and I'm not gonna overpromise and underdeliver. And there are some guys that we don't get in recruiting because we don't overpromise. We don't. Promise them an opportunity. And sometimes kids are smart enough to see through all the promises. We don't call them every day. I'm not trying to date them, I'm trying to coach them. And that works with some kids, and with some kids it doesn't. They want to think it's who wants me the most? Who's going to recruit you the most? Who's going to lie to you the most? And in these two cases, it fit. I think both these young men trusted us, and they're both really talented players. And I think they've been competitive. They've been in competitive enough environments in high school basketball and AU basketball where I think they should make a transition to play. There will be a physical transition for both of them because they both need to get bigger and stronger, and that's where Coach Damon Davis comes in. The ability to play as a freshman. Aiden, for example, he's put on 10, 12 really good pounds, and it's helped him in his transition as a freshman. Trey made that transition a year ago. So that's going to be key, for them, is for how quickly they're able to play, how quickly they make that physical transition. But they're both better than they're ranked.
If you just real quick here on Denver, just kind of through 4 games, talk to me about what you like about him and what he needs to work on.
Well, Denver, first of all, Denver played through some injury. He tweaked his groin in the next practice facility on Wednesday, and he was questionable for the game Thursday, maybe even doubtful. And Coach Clark Pearson, our trainer, did a great job with Denver, and they worked really hard to get him ready. And it was a situation where he would feel it painfully, but it was not a risk of any injury. So he played through the pain. Played better in the next night after having warmed that thing up a little bit. Shot it really well. I think Denver's got real upside. I think you've seen some things from him. He's working harder defensively than he ever has before. So when you have to work harder in a system defensively, then your offensive rhythm sometimes can be different because he's used to kind of resting on defense and then saving it for offense. The other thing, too, is he also is in a situation where when he was at Florida Atlantic or other places, even in junior college, half the offense was designed to get him a shot. That's not our offense. It's there's way more sharing of the ball. So getting used to that is something that's going to be a bit of an adjustment. But I was very pleased to see him play well. I was absolutely pleased to see both KD and Denver play well on Friday against St. Bonaventure, because I thought they played better Friday than they did on Thursday.
Last question, Arian.
Coach, it's still pretty early on in the season, but you guys strength the schedule, especially the past 4 games, and looking forward is going to be tough. At this point in the season, do you think playing a schedule like this is having you guys maybe have a leg up on figuring out what your identity is going to be before you get into the grind of the season?
Yeah, I think the combination of playing the schedule, challenging our players, trying to get on national television, and stay relevant, getting exposed to different things, but building a resume. I mean, that's what you're trying to do now. It's a body of work. It's not just conference. It's a body of work. So these games, these outcomes matter, and the margins of those outcomes matter. You certainly send your team a message by how tough you schedule or how tough you don't schedule. The other thing that's been really important to the development of our program is we're traveling now. You should have been in Brooklyn, New York, and see thousands of Auburn fans in Brooklyn. That just makes me so grateful. And it sends a message to both ESPN and the world of college basketball that we got a real program. And I mean, I saw people that met people there that had come from all over the Northeast or even the Atlantic central part of our country, just knowing that Auburn basketball was going to be within a 10-hour drive. I mean, and they make a difference there. I mean, St. Bonaventure's from New York. They're from upstate New York. We had more people there. Notre Dame, I thought, would dominate the crowd on Thursday because of all the alums in the New York market. Our fans showed up. So I'm not afraid to go on the road and go to neutral sites because we'll travel. And those wins are worth more because they are played in a neutral site environment. So that's why you play the schedule you play. And so just, we've got to be excited about playing Alabama A&M tomorrow. We've got to recognize that, what their league is capable of doing. The SWAC has historically, upset SEC teams along the way. Again, we talked about Missouri last night. So we got to be, be the most excited team to play tomorrow.